On behalf of the presiding official, Colonel John W. Picklesimer, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, welcome. Today, Lieutenant Colonel Loren M. Peterkin, Commander, 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron, and Task Force Lancer will relinquish command to Lieutenant Colonel Christopher H. Chin. Our Commander of Airmen for today's formation is Second Lieutenant Gerald Villarreal. The center formation represents the squadron directly under the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron. This ceremony is a time-honored and cherished military tradition that formally symbolizes the continuity of authority as command is passed from one individual to another. This formal ceremony is conducted before the assembled company of the command and marks the transfer of command authority, responsibility, and accountability from one officer to another. And we are extremely honored to share this ceremony with you. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Colonel John Picklesimer, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of our official party and remain standing for the posting of the colors, singing of our national anthem, sang by one of our very own Coyotes, Airman First Class Isaac Peralta, and invocation by Chaplain Shaw.
Squadron, attention, hut. Sir, I present the command. Proceed to the ceremony. Post the colors.
Colors. Attention. Hut! Right shoulder. Pose! Colors. Ready. Hut. Forward. Pose! Colors. Halt. Present. Pose!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Pose. Pose! Pose.
Now, Chaplain Shaw, the 67th Cyberspace Group Chaplain, will give our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, Heavenly Father, grant us all your good grace that we need each day to set aside our selfish interest, to seek the welfare of our fellow airmen. And so we ask your blessing upon all who are gathered here this day and pray that you would be with us, inspire us with your wisdom, that we may appreciate leading in the serious opportunities that are in it. May the spirit of concern, care, and honor and dedication to duty be Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin's legacy to the men and women of the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron. May you continue to be with him and his wife Darcy and his children Josh, Chloe, and Olivia as they leave to serve others. We pray for your support for Lieutenant Colonel Chin as he assumes the burdens of command. Strengthen him so that one day too he may look back with pride and delight upon his legacy. Bless Colonel Chin and Megan and their children, Ty and Ronan, as they serve among us here in the premier cyber wing. Thank you, God, for the men and the women and the rest of the families of the Coyotes who help us fly, fight, and win. Look kindly on all who are assembled here. Keep us faithful in our duties and make us worthy examples for those who follow. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Shaw. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Before we begin, we would like to recognize several distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until the introductions are complete. The Vice Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Michael J. Winter. The Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Lance R. Power. The Chief of Staff, William Edgar. Commander, 567th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel T. Michael McDaniel, and his spouse, Angelique. And family of the outgoing squadron commander, Mrs. Darcy Peterkin, and their children, Josh, Chloe, and Olivia. Spouse and family of the incoming squadron commander, Mrs. Megan Chin, and their children, Ty and Ronan. To other senior leaders, members of the 67th Cyberspace Wing, and those dialed in virtually, the Peterkin and Chin family, thank you for taking your time to share this special occasion with us today. Welcome one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel John Picklesimer.
Please do the formation at ease.
Squadron, attention.
Families, you can also be at ease. Always great to have families here. Thank you. Well, it's going to be down today. Good morning, good morning. Welcome one today, a fine-looking group. Colonel Winter, thanks for being here. Chief, Mr. Edgar, Chiefs, welcome. Good to see you. Colonel McDaniel, thank you. Chaplain Shaw, Chaplain McGuire, thank you. Chaplain Shaw, thank you for those words. I appreciate it. Thank you for your always true and dedicated service throughout the group with our True North program. Airman Peralta, there you are. Well done again. Always a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your voice, your gift, and honoring our nation. Thank you. As always, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Hoskins, the best looking man on Lackland Air Force Base every day of the week. Never ceases to amaze me how he trains commanders to do this simple ceremony, and we usually get it right. Finally, thank you all the Coyotes that put this together. It's a fantastic ceremony. It can be well executed, I'm sure. But before I go on and on about Loren Peterkin and Chris Chin, I'd like to recognize Darcy. Thank you so much for being you. This lifestyle is fun, but it is not easy. It turns out we just get stronger. I think you're the epitome of that. Thank you for keeping harmony and being an example of what a thriving professional, a wife, and a mother looks like. Like many military ceremonies, this is a very visual event. we're going to take the opportunity to recognize Loren Peterkin and welcome Colonel Chen. Then, you'll observe the quickest military action ever. It's a short 20 seconds that represents the peaceful transfer of power and authority from one officer to another. It's an important American military tradition that represents who we are as a people and a nation. For over 200 years, this simple ceremony has demonstrated our civility, loyalty to the Constitution, and our humility as service members. People change jobs all the time. However, we have a ceremony to mark this occasion because command is a position of special trust for several reasons. The legal and moral responsibilities of commanders far exceed those of any leader of a similar position or authority. The American people expect their uniformed personnel, especially commanders, to conduct themselves with the highest moral character. And finally, our society and the Air Force look to the commanders to make sure that missions succeed, that people receive the proper training and care, and that the values we espouse survive. This isn't just a job. It's a position of special trust to lead America's sons and daughters. The responsibility of the commander goes well beyond the mission of the squadron. It's a unique position that requires a deep knowledge of people, weapon systems, programmatics, and future endeavors. The commander also takes on many roles, as Colonel Peterkin has found out. Is an advocate, personnelist, contracting officer, counselor, judge, party planner, engineer, motivational speaker, and in this unique case, a task force commander. By nature of the position, the commander has significant influence over the personality of the squadron and the lives and careers of the men and women we serve. Those selected to command offer something beyond their formal authority. Their personal example and public actions have tremendous moral force. That's why in the Air Force, and especially this community, there's a rigorous effort to identify quality candidates and select them to lead, and select the right officer. The quote, right officer is a very subjective term, as it should be. Every squadron is unique and needs a specific kind of leader at a specific time. The command hiring process weighs heavily on identifying who the squadron will need next. In the summer of 2021, the Coyotes were ready for Peterkin, a man with exceptional technical depth, experience in the cyber mission force, and a leader with the grit to take on the challenges of leading a squadron and a task force at the same time. As many of you here well know, Joint Force Headquarters, to be known as headquarters from the rest of the speech, sends the toughest mission sets and targets to the Coyotes and Task Force Lancer. When the OPT finds a really, really hard target, they automatically think, I think Lancer can handle this one. That line of thinking has paid dividends for the headquarters, U.S. Cyber Command, Geographic Combatant Commanders, the nation, and our allies. By the numbers and results, Lancer and the Coyotes are punching way above their weight. Task Force Lancer's work has produced 80% of the headquarters' new flexible response options since late 2021. Since then, Lancer has assembled standing crews and has refreshed the response options for at least monthly for 18 months. And that number has grown by 50%. And the teams, you all here, stand ready to execute when called upon by the President. To maintain that level of readiness and continually develop new options is daunting. The scope and scale of each Lancer mission package is several orders of magnitude larger than other options. It takes more time and effort to prepare, more coordination is required, and more skill and practice is required to maintain the demanded readiness levels. Colonel Peterkin, the Coyotes, Task Force Lancer, you showed up and you showed out. You demonstrated the excellence that is required to be a game changer in this business. And when you do that, people want to work with you. Other organizations want to work with professionals and winners that get results. The NSA, not known for sharing, and for good reason, but when they trust you, you're in. Colonel Peterkin and his leadership team made the right connections and proved Lancer needed a better way to share data. Today, all the teams under Lancer, you can share data and process targets much faster. I know that sounds super simple, but that is a huge deal, and it took a lot of work and a lot of political capital to make that work. You brought together high-end teams from the intelligence community, Strategic Capabilities Office, U.S. Cyber Command, and some CNODP interns to revolutionize how we approach hard targets, creating a faster method for gaining access. In addition, you created several warfare plan options built with our mission partners. That is no small task, y'all. To maintain that level of readiness and continue to develop new options is no less than incredible and very worthwhile. Because of Colonel Peterkin's leadership and the Coyote's excellence, Lancer's work is shifting the mindset and changing the paradigm of conducting cyberspace operations and expanding the vision of persistent engagement through strategic competition. On behalf of Lieutenant General Kennedy, I'd like to share the following comments. Colonel Peterkin, you and your team took on the toughest challenges and continue to deliver. Your rare mix of leadership and technical knowledge is a powerful combination that led to real options for the Joint Force and President in a time of competition and crisis. On behalf of the entire Phoenix team, thank you and extremely well done. Best wishes to you on your next role in Air Force Futures. You're the leader we need to drive innovation and maintain our competitive advantage as a technologically superior fighting force. Colonel Chen, well done in U.S. Cyber Command and leading the busiest OPT and delivering outcomes for the nation. Congratulations on being selected to command this elite cyber squadron. Welcome to the Phoenix family and Task Force Lancer. Colonel Chen, welcome to the Coyote family, Rough Rider Nation. It's great to have you back. As I stated earlier, commanders are specifically chosen, and Colonel Chen is the right officer at the right time. I can't think of a better option to carry on Colonel Peterkin's mantle of excellence. As General Kennedy alluded to, Colonel Chen has been very busy at U.S. Cyber Command. While you may not know who he is yet, I can guarantee he knows exactly who the Coyotes are. All of those targets, mission packages, cyber ops, information warfare plans, Colonel Chen has been pushing them through Cyber Command and the interagency for the better part of 2 years on your behalf. When I talk about options for the President, Colonel Chen was the keeper of the placemat that General Nakasone uses to discuss our capabilities with the most senior officials in our government. In addition, he has a strong cyber operations background. DO, already been a commander, time in the intelligence community, and he's an elite Air Force weapons officer, the epitome of humble, approachable, and credible. And he has great hair. Currently a requirement to be a commander in the 6-7 cog. I hear he gets that from his dad. And that's not all he got from his parents. Being the son of immigrants into this great country, Bit had a front row seat to see what it means to work hard, have determination, and show grit. They online? David and Renee, thanks for dialing in. And thank you for being the example Chris needed to be the fantastic officer and man he is today. Also joining virtually, Megan's parents, Alex and Liz. Thank you for your distinguished service, and to both of you for your continued love and support for Chris and Megan and the kids. Megan, welcome back to San Antonio. Thanks for keeping Bit out of trouble all these years. Normally I reword what people send me, but I'm just going to read it verbatim because it was so good. She's the absolute rock of our family, always making sure we are all taken care of, juggled 5 moves in the last 6 years, of which we had 2 kiddos in the process. It can be a lot for any family, but she keeps rolling with the punches and never fails to lead first with love and compassion. Thank you, Megan. So Bit also gave me a list of other mentors who influenced him throughout his life and career. It's a veritable who's who of Air Force cyber officers and senior NCOs. I'm not going to read them all. You asked me not to. As I've said before, you can tell a lot about who people count as their mentors and who signed their OPRs. Just like his parents while he was growing up, and Axel and Liz as he learned to be a father and husband, Colonel Chen has the right Air Force mentors and is well prepared to lead the Coyotes and Task Force Lancer, the right leader at the right time. Loren, well done, sir. Thank you for your leadership and stewardship of the Coyotes. Bit, welcome. Congrats on this fantastic opportunity, and lead on. Thank you, everyone. On with the ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin.
Squadron, attention, hut.
Colonel,
What's the order?
citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal, the 3rd Oak Leaf Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel Loren M. Peterkin. Lieutenant Colonel Loren M. Peterkin distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as a commander, 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, and 67th Cyberspace Wing, Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland, Texas. During this period, Colonel Peterkin led a 230-person joint task force of airmen and sailors through a period of unprecedented change and mission growth. He led Task Force Lancer through 410% increase in targets, which created 10 cyber attack options for the President of the United States to respond to an ongoing geopolitical crisis and resulted in a first-of-its-kind strike against an adversary's war industry. Additionally, Colonel Peterkin brokered an unprecedented broadening of higher headquarters intelligence authorities, unleashing 13 offensive cyber mission force teams to target adversary war-making capabilities at will, which curtailed a multi-month coordination process for each new target. Finally, he led a build-out of a unit training program for more than 120 analysts, which proved a rigorous and repeatable means to certify them to a basic level expeditiously and be postured for senior level upgrade. This put the unit on track to reach 80% trained for the first time since its creation in 2015 and set the foundation for bringing another 80 personnel into the task force. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Peterkin reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
All right, pass.
Mrs. Peterkin and a family, please come forward for a photograph with Colonel Picklesimer and Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Loren Peterkin.
All right, LT, we might be up here for a minute, so if you wouldn't mind, put the formation at ease. Try to get through this quick.
Squadron, attention, hut. At ease.
All right, Colonel Picklesimer, thank you. I'm going to start by giving a lot of thanks, 2 pages worth. I'm going to start with Colonel Picklesimer. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you, for the year that I've worked for you, for providing me the latitude as a commander to find my own way. I think I mentioned that sentiment at some point in the last year, and you were very quick. And that, believe it or not, is kind of atypical throughout the rest of the Air Force. Our unit, I'd say our group is unique in its mission, and it requires and confidence of the wing and the group commanders to let the squadrons find their own way to get after the mission, because we don't know what that is on any given day or how we're going to. So thank you for the latitude to get after things. Thank you for being a sounding board when it got rough or when there were issues. Thank you for your mentorship and your guidance along the way. And I know Bit's in good hands with you as the group commander, so thank you. 2 years is not enough time, guys. You sure I can't have another year, sir? I'd like to start. Yeah. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone that put this ceremony on today. Thank you, Airman Palmer, for getting up here and narrating. Thank you, Airman Wooten, for proffering. Where did Airman Peralta disappear to? He's in the back somewhere. Hey, thank you for getting up here again. You did it at Shirt's promotion ceremony. Thank you for getting up here again and belting it out. It gives me goosebumps every time I hear someone get up here and sing it, so thank you for doing that. Thank you, Lieutenant Villarreal, excuse me, and to the members of the formation today for letting us, or having us make you stand there for an hour. I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you, Chaplain, for speaking today and giving the invocation, but for your care for the Coyotes during your time here. Thank you for your support to me. Thank you for your support to our individual teammates. I know what goes on between you and them is confidential, but I know that you are there for them, and I know that you're making a difference in their lives, and that's all that matters, so thank you. Thank you, Chaplain McGuire, for your guidance and mentorship over the last couple of years. I know you stopped by my office pretty soon after I took command down in 307. You were very eager to get out and meet, as many airmen as you could over at the NSA Texas site, and we were trying to get you a visitor badge and everything. So just thank you for your continued support of the team, and thank you for your support to me over the last 2 years. It means a lot. I see some of our legal team back there, Major Hicks. I know Major DeFabo's moved on, but thank you for your support over the last couple of years, keeping things in order and advising and assisting me. I really, really appreciate it. I see some of my fellow commanders out there. I saw Waldo. I see Q back there. Sorry if you guys can't hear me on the mic there. There we go. For those of you that are geographically separated, TK out in Georgia, Mags out in Hawaii, and I know Colonel Lee moved on a few weeks ago. I want to say thank you for your support as fellow commanders to be sounding boards, regardless of which side of the house that the issues were on. So that we could all be better leaders and mentors for our units. So thank you for your support. I want to say thank you to the wing leadership, to Colonel Kern, who's on leave today and couldn't be with us. When he first got here, at first I thought the sentiment I was feeling was skepticism. He's a very energetic individual. My skepticism wasn't so much his ability to care for people. It was all of the readiness issues that the wing was saying, we're going to get after this. And my initial sentiment was, I've seen this movie before. That spark's going to fade, and it's going to be back on us at the squadron level to try to just muddle through like we've been doing. Well, the spark didn't fade, and I don't know what it is. It's something about Colonel Kern. He's figured it out. He's transformed what was the Ops Support Squadron into a functioning wing staff. We have a phenomenal A1 helping us recruit and retain the best talent. We have a phenomenal A9/historian. I don't know if Will's out there in the audience today, but thank you, Will, for all the work that you've done to help us to improve processes. I don't know about what's going on up in the A3. The guy that's up there now is kind of shady. But so Jared Freeman, new director of operations at the 67th Cyberspace Wing, my director of operations for the last 2 years, prior to Major Don Atkins getting here back in March. Man, stand up for a second and let's give him a round of applause. As the deputy commander for Task Force Lancer as well, I very early on just had to put him out there in front, briefing all the commanders' update briefs, interfacing with General Hawk at the time and now General Kennedy on the regular, interfacing with the DCOM on the regular. He's an information operations officer by trade, so I was a bit reluctant to do that at first because do no harm to him. I wanted to make sure that he was prepared for those engagements, to talk the talk and walk the walk when it comes to having some street cred with regard to cyberspace operations. He came in, built out a 6-month plan to get smart on cyber ops, executed it, and was absolutely phenomenal as my director of operations. Could not have done it without you, would not be here today without you. I appreciate the feedback and mentorship that you provided upward to me You are a phenomenal leader. I cannot wait to see you take a guide on here in the next year or two and command a squadron yourself. Thank you. Colonel Winter, if you would also pass on to Colonel Kern that all of the things that he's been asking me for over the last year with regard to taking some of the ideas in my head about force structure and writing them down, I know I still owe him, and I will engage here shortly in a few weeks once I catch my breath from all of this. And then Colonel Winter, I want to say thank you for first your support as the Future Operations Division Chief on the Joint Force Headquarters staff. You and Trish Putman were the impetus to get us where we are today in terms of changing how this headquarters views information warfare, to take us beyond just the very narrow focus that line of effort Phoenix had at the time, and the very narrow focus that honestly line of effort Fury had at the time, to go beyond the Rubik's days and really expand out bringing Fury into the competition space, and I'll speak a little bit more about that. So you and Trish Putman, without the two of you, we wouldn't be here today either, so thank you. To Chief Kearney and Chief Von Holt, thank you during your time at the 375th for your guidance and mentorship to the other side of the house, to the 390th. Eric, great to work with you again. Couldn't be more proud of you to see you here as a chief. Both of you are phenomenal senior enlisted leaders, and I wish nothing but the best for you in the future. Chief Power, thank you for being here today. I know our time together was short, but I know that you're going to be a great wing command chief for one of the busiest wings in the United States Air Force right now. We are engaged in combat every single day, up in the enemy's heat, and that's not going to slow down. Mr. Edgar, thank you for your passionate support to our civilian to the civilian portion of our team. Thank you for your support and advocacy for us to change how we integrate and employ our civilians on our teams, to give them leadership opportunities, to give them the pay and recognition that they deserve for their contributions to the team. Thank you. I got way off script. All right. To my family. I'm not going to do it like I did my major promotion ceremony and forget to talk about them. So I'll start with Darcy. 18 years. Been married for 13, and we just celebrated our 13th wedding anniversary on the 4th of July. Not because we're super patriotic, that just happened to be the only date the venue we wanted to get married at was available 13 years ago. Thank you for being my rock. I love watching you grow as a professional, as a therapist, as a full-time working professional. I know it's not easy, us moving around every couple of years, and you have to find another job and kind of start over back at the bottom again. But you have done phenomenal things to help many, many children and parents out there overcome significant mental health challenges. So I really appreciate the fact that you can find that balance, as Colonel Picklesimer put, to be a full-time professional and a mother of 3, especially on nights when I'm working late or weekends when I'm at the office, and you're back on the home front, holding it down. I look forward to spending the next 8 weeks of this summer as a stay-at-home dad, now that the DoD has seen fit to grant secondary caregivers 12 weeks of leave instead of what used to be like 11 days or something. So I really look forward to being a stay-at-home dad for the next 8 weeks. To Joshua, never lose your thirst for knowledge. And you have this creative spark that I never had as a kid. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, but this kid's a Picasso, man. My heart, you're the best big brother to Chloe and Olivia. Thank you. Continue to set an awesome example for them. To Chloe, you will find your own way in life. Never lose the spark that you have, your drive for everything and anything that you set your mind to. You are going to find a way to get it one way or another. And that will serve you well in life later on. And to Olivia, oh, so many baby smiles. So Olivia was our second attempt at a third child during my tenure here. Early on in 2021, it didn't work out, and excuse me. You know, again, being in command and working the long hours, and if anyone forgot, back in early 2022 as well, some things happened in the world that demanded more time and attention on my part. And so, you know, I just want you to know that I love you, and I hope that I was able to provide the support you needed during that time, and that, you know, someone else had a plan, because we have Ollie now, and that's all that matters. Thank you. All right, to my fellow Coyotes, and to any of my Orange Badgers from 600 Combat Mission Team in the Navy that may be in the audience today. I want to first start with saying thank you for your dedication, for getting after probably the toughest mission in the Department of Defense. As Colonel Picklesimer said, Task Force Lancer gets all the hard targets. Large areas of very well-defended cyber terrain that we must infiltrate and occupy, lying in wait to strike our adversaries should they cross a red line established by our nation's civilian leadership, so-called flexible response options. The Coyotes have a saying, up in yo heap. And that's really inspired by the nature of our mission. The heap is a portion of random access memory, if you'd indulge me nerding out for a minute, or RAM, that's allocated to an application running on a computer. It differs a little bit from a model called the stack, which is another way of allocating RAM, in that it's dynamic in how instructions are read and written to it, versus the stack, which operates on a last in, first out basis. By living within this memory space allocated to legitimate applications, we blend. We become much harder to detect. By living within the heap, which is even more technically sophisticated due to its dynamic nature of how it's accessed, we are even harder to detect by our adversaries. Over the last 24 months, we have rooted ourselves in deep, 8 different target areas, and produced 10 flexible response options for the President of the United States. Last spring, General Nakasone, the 4-star general in charge of U.S. Cyber Command, took some of Lancer's work to the Oval Office. Behind a closed door with President Biden, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, and other members of the National Security Council, he told them what Lancer was prepared to do should the need arise. Task Force Lancer, you have provided and continued to provide our national leadership valuable decision space and flexibility in how they choose to respond to increasingly hostile foreign powers. Beyond what Lancer has been tasked to do, there are Coyotes out there underpinning the success of every other task force under this Joint Force headquarters, like Major Larimore, who's now the DO at the 305th COS, making sure that Army and Navy cyber crews coming over to execute strike packages were certified or qualified to make sure that those operations happened flawlessly. Like Staff Sergeant Siegelhurst, who fixed or upgraded the capability that was necessary for a recent strike package executed by Task Force Falcon. Without his work, that wouldn't have been successful. He reconnoitered the aim points within that network for that strike package as well. He flew around on the back of airplanes, testing capabilities against targets that may or may not be accessible from the internet reliably, on behalf of other task forces. Like Lieutenant Geilenfeld, who took down a propaganda platform 2 ago on behalf of Task Force Falcon. Those are just a few examples of Coyotes out there as consummate professionals, highly skilled, highly trained, making sure that the mission gets done. Over the last 24 months, we've maintained crews on alert to execute a range of options within hours to days of receiving an execute order. As Colonel Picklesimer said, conducting regular exercises to test the combat readiness of those crews. To go back to 600 CMT on the Navy side, they probably have the toughest target in this Joint Force headquarters right now. The adversary is actively hunting us. The rigor, the transparency, the accountability, the discipline that we've talked about over the last 24 months, that's what's critical to making sure that they don't catch us, that those options remain viable should our nation need them. Never let your foot off the gas when it comes to rigor and accountability and discipline with executing operations. Task Force Lancer is also doing important work to expand upon how we compete, not just respond to national adversaries, in order to deter them from doing bad things in the first place, providing options to give the U.S. decisive competitive advantage in a future conflict. In the words of Sun Tzu, to win without fighting. Indeed, Lancer was successful in executing one such option, paving the way for more like it as we work towards implementing a strategy of persistent engagement. Task Force Lancer, primarily under Lieutenant Colonel Freeman's guidance as an information operations officer, has also started working its first information operations within the line of effort Fury to influence how our adversary acts, and again, deter them from going against our national interests in the first place, paving the way for a new form of warfare, information warfare. To the last point that I want to make this morning. Some of you may look around and see on the left arms of airmen and OCPs today a patch. Sometimes it'll say cyber, sometimes it'll say IW, sometimes it'll say ISR. Those are functional duty identifiers, as the Air Force calls them. And in the dress and appearance instruction, there is a specific list of approved ones. And those identifiers are supposed to identify which career field that airman belongs to. Well, guess what? IW, or information warfare, is not one of the ones approved in the list. And yet, why do we wear it? I've been asked many times over the last 12 months or so that we've started wearing those patches, how do I reconcile as a commander allowing people to violate one standard but holding them to rigorous accountability for all other standards? And I've, up until maybe a month ago, kind of struggled to respond in any sort of articulate way. It was more of just a gut feeling that this information war thing is bigger than us, right? We identify as information warfare professionals, not cyberspace operators, not exploitation analysts, not capability developers, right? And so how I've reconciled that in my mind is if you're going to put that IW patch on, if you're going to violate that standard, I'm okay with that because I do it and because it's a conversation starter. Everyone that sees you out there asks me, what is IW? And it gives me an opportunity to tell them that it's the future of warfare. It gives me an opportunity to tell them about the things that you do down here in San Antonio, Texas, and why they're so important. It's our Billy Mitchell moment, if that makes sense. Billy Mitchell was a general officer who was in the Army in the 1920s, who was very vehement about air power, very vehement about the necessity to create a separate service to figure out how to more effectively employ air power in warfare, right? And the Army generals above him court-martialed him, demoted him to colonel, and shuffled him out of the Army in disgrace. As information warfare professionals, I'm not saying we should go out and get court-martialed. However, I think wearing a different patch is our way of starting that conversation, that the Air Force should pay attention to what we're doing down here in San Antonio. It's important. And when it comes to all the other standards, if you're going to engage senior officers in a conversation about why you're not meeting the standard and wearing a different patch, then you'd better be meeting all the other darn standards, because they might be looking for any reason to not buy into what you're telling them, right? We need to build those connections and we need them on our side. So that's why you need to have everything else squared away. And that's how I've tried to articulate it because you're going to get the same questions if I didn't do a good job. So that's how I've tried to explain it to them. And then finally, I want to say welcome to Megan and Tig and Ronan and Bit. Whew, they don't give commanders a lot of time to turn over. 20 seconds, we're going to pass this guide on, and I'm not allowed to show my face around here anymore. So if you have any questions in the future, You've got my number. I'm always there to help. Please reach out if you need it. And again, to my fellow Coyotes and Orange Badgers, thank you. I have nothing but pride in my heart for being a Coyote, and nothing but gratitude for the awesome work that you guys do every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin. At this time, the members of the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron will render their final salute to their outgoing commander, Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin.
Squadron, hut. Present, pause. Sir, thank you for your faithful service to Coyote.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron would like to take this opportunity to present a gift to Mrs. Darcy Peterkin for her support to the squadron. Mrs. Peterkin, thank you for all you've done. We truly appreciate your dedication and commitment to our worldwide military community and wish you the best of luck on your next assignment in the The ceremony you are about to witness is one of the briefest, yet most significant in one of our military customs. All authority and responsibility are vested in the hands of the commander in an unbroken chain to the Commander-in-Chief, President Biden. No unit may ever, even for a brief moment, be without a commander. So today, when Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin relinquishes command and Lieutenant Colonel Chin assumes command, all authority and responsibility for the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron transfers to him immediately. The passing of the squadron's guidon culminates a series of significant achievements under Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin's leadership, vision, and guidance, and reflects great confidence in the continuance of those achievements under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Chin. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the change of command of the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron.
Squadron, attention, hut.
Colonel Picklesimer, sir, request permission to publish the change of command orders.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. Special order number G-23-04, dated the 22nd of June, 2023. Lieutenant Colonel Loren M. Peterkin is relieved of command of the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron, and Lieutenant Colonel Christopher H. Chin assumes command effective the 7th day of July, 2023. By order of Colonel John W. Picklesimer, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my privilege to introduce to you for the first time the Commander, 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron and Task Force Lancer, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher H. Chin. The passing of, at this time, members of the 390th Squadron will render their first salute to new commander, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher H. Chin.
Squadron, attention. Present. Pause. Sir, on behalf of the Coyotes and the task force, welcome to the
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the Cyberspace Operations Squadron would like to present a gift to Mrs. Megan Chin. This gift represents the friendship she will make as she becomes an integral part of our community. We will now hear from Lieutenant Colonel Chin.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends and family, fellow Rough Riders, and most importantly, the men and women of 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron and Task Force Lancer, for being here today. Colonel Kern, if you're out there, Colonel Winter, Colonel Picklesimer, I am truly humbled by your vote and confidence in me. Thank you for entrusting me with leading the men and women of the stored unit. I am truly blessed and honored. Thank you, sir. It's truly great to be back a part of Gunslinger Nation, right? I found my ways here back in San Antonio, and it always feels like home coming back. This will be my second time here, but first as a family, and I look forward to reconnecting with some friends and then making some new friends while we are here. We truly appreciate the outpouring of messages and then all the notes from the spouses that kind of helped our way move from the East Coast all the way here. As Darcy and Loren know, the trek from the East Coast and around the country is not easy, so thank you so much for all your help and support the past few weeks. To my beautiful bride, Megan, the babe in the front row right there, she hates it when I do that, the heartbeat rock of our family, thank you for your love, your spirit, continued support for me and our family on this wild military ride. Fifth move in 6 years, as Colonel Picklesimer said. Thank you for allowing me to do this. I know what you have, the whole family, done for me to allow me to do this. And thank you to Tiger and Ronan. Thank you for your understanding and why Dad's away. A few thank yous to the team that put this together. Staff Sergeant Sabrina McGuire, Senior Airman Breyer, Mr. Johnny Camacho, Captain David Young, Major Atkins, the airmen in formation today. Thank you all for the amazing support that started long before today's events. These ceremonies are in addition to an already very heavy operational tempo, and it is not, I am remiss to just say something, just say thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin, he's called Teflon for a reason. I want to express my gratitude for your unwavering dedication outside the past 2 years to the Coyote team. Under your guidance, the Coyotes have achieved remarkable milestones, overcome challenges, and delivered during a critical time of our nation, most notably the most recent Russian invasion of Ukraine. Your commitment to excellence, tireless efforts have left an indelible mark on this organization, both as a squadron and task force commander. And that dual-hatted responsibility is something that should not be taken lightly. I am honored to have the opportunity to build upon your strong foundation that you have established, and best wishes to you and Darcy and the kiddos as you make your trip back east. To my mentors, many of whom could not be here today but watching virtually, thank you for the many years of support, guidance, encouragement that you all poured into me. I truly would not be here today without you. To the rest of the Chin family and the Foley clan back east, again, thank you for supporting us on this 17-year military journey. And finally, to the men and women of the 390th Cyberspace Operations Squadron and Task Force Lancer, I am humbled and privileged to stand before you today as your new commander. I understand the weight of responsibility entrusted to me, and I'm committed to serving each and one of you to the best of my ability. Together, we will pursue excellence, foster innovation, and continue to deliver outcomes on behalf of the nation in and through cyberspace. In closing, all current policies will remain in effect unless explicitly stated otherwise. I am truly honored and privileged to be leading this extraordinary team. Together, we will navigate the future with determination and resilience and with a shared sense of purpose. I'm eager to get started. Fights on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. On behalf of Colonel Picklesimer, Lieutenant Colonel Peterkin, and Lieutenant Colonel Chin, thank you for attending today's ceremony. Refreshments will be served immediately following the ceremony in the back of the room. In keeping with Air Force tradition, please stand as we conclude today's ceremony with the playing of the Air Force song and remain standing for the departure of the official party. Commander of Airmen, take charge of your formation.
Squadron, attention, hut.
Off we go.
Into the wild blue yonder,